With the first of its kind survey of all our sitting Lok Sabha MPs across 543 constituencies with a sample of almost 2 lakhs. The performance of MPs have been evaluated on 30 governance issues, from drinking water to women, to employment, to schooling, to better hospitals. And this is what the survey is saying. The methodology is on IBNlive.com, but this is what the survey said. Only 17% of our MPs have been rated above average. That is above 6.67 out of 10 points. 6.67 out of 10 points, only 17%. MPs across party lines in Himachal were the best performing. The worst performing, it turns out, were the MPs in the state of Punjab. Punjab had the worst performing MPs as per our survey done with the Association for Democratic Reform. Now to the big figures, the VIPs. Sonia Gandhi of the Congress in Rai Bareli, her percentage as per the survey is 6.33. That is her percentage. Sonia Gandhi was rated 6.33 out of 10 on these 30 parameters of governance. Rahul Gandhi, 5.58, below the average, at least a minimum of 6 you would expect. Remember, in school, if you get 6, then only you move into the first class out of 10 points. Sachin Pilot, interestingly, gets 8. That's the highest that a congressman has got. Sachin Pilot was rated the highest among the Congress MPs that we surveyed. Kapil Sibal also bit better. 6.4 was Kapil Sibal's rating in this survey. Kamal Nath, on the other hand, he's been an MP 8 times, but he's rated poorly now. 3.59 was all that he could get on these 30 governance parameters as voted by the voters in Chhindwara. Sushil Kumar Shinde, again well below average. 4.93 is all that the MP from Solapur was rated in our survey. Suresh Kalmadi, who's just been dropped from the Congress list in Pune, again rated poorly. 4.92 is all that Suresh Kalmadi could get. Supriya Sule, rated much better, 6.38, daughter of Sharad Pawar from Baramati. Anurag Thakur, one of the highest rated BJP MPs. A bit of a surprise, some would say, but in Hamirpur, the Yuva BJP leader, 7.66 was the rating that he was given on those governance parameters. Sushma Swaraj, and this is a surprise, very good parliamentarian, but on the governance criteria in Vidisha was only given a 3.52. So that's a bit of a surprise. Murli Manohar Joshi has shifted seats, and he's again well below that 6 points out of 10 that you would expect someone governing well. He just gets 5.84 in Varanasi. He's of course now moved to Kanpur. Rajnath Singh, who's also shifted now from Ghaziabad to Lucknow, again rated relatively poorly. Just got a 4.53 rating on those critical issues of governance that we are looking at. And Anant Kumar, bit of a surprise, gets 6.36, rated better than what many might have otherwise imagined. Not too bad. Mulayam Singh, again well below the 50% mark, just gets 4.79 out of a maximum of 10 that you can get on the governance criteria that ADR has prepared. Let's take a look then as to just why our MPs are not performing well. Priyanka Dubey now reports.
After every board examination, the marks and pass percentage only seems to get higher. Sadly, with our MPs, just the opposite seems to be happening. In the first ever report card of incumbent MPs prepared by the Association for Democratic Reforms, or ADR, across 61 constituencies, the performance of almost 2/3 of the elected Lok Sabha members is rated as below average. The report is based on 30 governance criteria, from employment to health services to water and electricity supply. MPs are marked on a scale of 10 on each parameter. Only 1.6% MPs out of 61 scored a distinction or a mark of 8 on 10. Only 26% MPs scored a first class or a mark of above 6 on 10. A majority, 59% MPs, got an average score between 4 and 6 on 10. 11% MPs got less than 4 on 10. For some political heavyweights, the feedback is far from encouraging. The BJP's leader in the Lok Sabha, Sushma Swaraj, and the Congress's Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kamal Nath, both long-serving MPs, don't rate too highly with their voters.
People's expectations are high, and as a member of parliament, it's limited for them to be able to do things. There are multiple factors in meeting all the demands.
Let's take a look at the performance of the 4 Gandhis from Uttar Pradesh. Sonia Gandhi, MP from Rai Bareli, scores 6.33. Menaka Gandhi from Aonla fares a shade better with 6.49 points on a scale of 10. In Gen Next, Rahul Gandhi with a 5.58 score lags behind his cousin Varun Gandhi, who scored a 6.24. The negative public perception may explain why several MPs from all parties, including Mohammad Azharuddin and Raj Babbar of the Congress and Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi and Rajnath Singh of the BJP, have changed their seats. None of them have fared well in the survey.
Just because someone has got a low score, it may not mean that he or she will lose. Maybe the other candidates might be rated even worse. So it's high time the political parties actually woke up to the fact that people are very unhappy.
And while a report card of the MPs may not affect their electability, what is becoming clearer is that the voters' rising expectation is only adding to the disconnect between an MP and their constituents. Local anti-incumbency could well be a buzzword come May 16th. In New Delhi with Priyanka Dubey, Deepika Kora.
So clearly our MPs rating very poorly. MPs report card, are most MPs failing to meet expectations of their voters. Joining me now is Professor Tarlochan Shastri. He is founder and trustee of the Association for Democratic Reforms. Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan, president of Lok Satta, a party which has committed itself to governance. Panda, one of the more impressive young MPs in the country, member of parliament of the Biju Janata Dal. Sudhanshu Mittal from the BJP. And Abid Rasool Khan, spokesperson of the Congress. Before I come to my panelists, I'm going to ask you, Tarlochan Shastri, to just tell our viewers what was the basis on which you decided to do this survey? Because when I look at it, the issues that you've marked out, governance issues, better employment, drinking water, better roads, security for women, eradication of corruption, electricity supply, better schools, hospitals, public transport, many MPs will turn, even garbage clearance, traffic congestion, many MPs will turn and say, is this the job of an MP? Should I not be judged on how I perform in parliament? Why are you judging me by garbage clearance in my constituency? That's what they could well turn around and say.
I think it's a very fair question. You see, the fine nuances of the constitution and the legal situation on what MPs are expected to or not expected to do is not something that voters are concerned about. Voters expect good governance, whether it is from the local sarpanch or from the MLA or from the MP. And come Lok Sabha elections, they expect that good governance comes from the MP.
But if the road outside my house, has potholes, if the drain is overflowing, is my MP responsible? Sushma Swaraj is a good MP in parliament in terms she delivers very fine speeches. She works very hard in parliament. Is she to be judged by her performance in parliament, or is she to be judged by whether the drain in Vidisha is overflowing or not?
Absolutely. I think it's a good question. We have to ask the people of Vidisha or whichever constituency. These are voters' perceptions.
These are voters' perceptions.
These are voters' perceptions. And voters are saying that on these parameters, the governance in my area of residence is not good enough. And maybe they blame the MP for it. Whether it's right or wrong, I do not want to comment on that.
Let me therefore bring in the MP first. Jai Panda, what is coming through first of all is that most MPs are not fulfilling into perception terms the expectations of their constituents. Would you accept that is it because of rising expectations, or is it because politics is getting more localized, that MPs are also expected to be almost like municipal councillors at one level to handle everything that could go wrong in their constituency?
First of all, let me compliment the Association of Democratic Reforms for this report that they have brought out. And of course, they have also been working in general on helping bring in transparency and more information about our political system, which is very, very important. And I will reiterate the point that you have made and that is more or less being conceded by ADR, which is that constituents don't distinguish between a ward member, a Zilla Parishad member, an MLA and an MP, and they expect all these representatives to look after all their problems. So of course, any MP would feel that primarily his or her performance in parliament should be the main criteria, because MPs don't have executive authority in the constituency. Now, as an MP, I cannot actually instruct the administration to do anything. I can conduct certain review meetings, but most of my authority in the constituency is from a moral pressure rather than any real administrative authority that MPs are given.
Are you saying, Jai, you should be judged by your performance in Parliament? Are you saying that you want to be judged by your performance in Parliament, not by addressing the local concerns? Because I know there are MLAs, there are municipal councillors. Are you saying that they are the ones who have to handle these concerns we have put up, from garbage clearance, traffic congestion, environmental issues? Should they be handled at the local level?
I was actually explaining the lack of administrative authority that an MP has in order to actually implement some of those things. But no MP, and certainly not me, can tell any constituent that, look, this is not my job. That's not acceptable. And that is why I have averaged nearly 15 days a month throughout the last 5 years in visiting my constituency, in attending to the problems, and using whatever authority I have. It may be political clout, it may be moral authority, and some of the review meetings that I get to chair as an MP to push along the agenda. So no MP can say that he or she will not respond to constituents' requirements because they are local requirements and because he or she does not have administrative authority.
You know, that's interesting, because I just want to for a moment look at some of the VIP MPs that we profiled. And Abid Rasool Khan, what is interesting is that even your first family, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, none of them gets very high marks. Sonia fares reasonably. She's at least above 6 points on the 10-point grade that we've done on these various criteria. But Rahul is below average. And the idea of nursing a constituency that we would have thought would be there doesn't seem to be there. You know, clearly, and anyone who goes to Amethi will see the condition of roads, sees that there is very little industrialization, no employment, new opportunities coming up. I mean, you know, the fact is that here is your most high-profile constituency, headed by the man who you hope will become the next Prime Minister. And the constituency doesn't really have faith in Rahul Gandhi's report. He gets an average mark in his constituency. What does that say?
Rajdeep, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and ADR for this excellent initiative. Now, secondly, when we come to the judging the member of parliaments and their constituencies, I personally feel that the sample survey of about 500 people in a constituency of 15 lakhs is less, and we need to involve more people to give their feedback. And secondly, as Mr. Panda was saying and as Mr. Shastri was saying, this particular issue of a MP not being involved in the local development has not been accepted by the constituent. They feel that all the elected representatives who come and ask for a vote are responsible for the benefits, and it has to be done. So here, and then each of the MP carry with them about 5 crore rupees as a development fund, which again the people expect that they should spend on their development. So all this together makes the MP equally responsible, though he may not have the authority, but equally responsible to develop. In Rahul Gandhi's case, he has done development of the whole constituency to a scale where it has become a model constituency for the country.
Sir, no one will call Amethi, I'm sorry to say, no one today will call Amethi a model constituency. Sir, no one will call Amethi a model constituency. We have gone there in the past, our reporters have reported from Amethi. There is a feeling that many of these schemes that have been designed for Amethi have not had results. In fact, even if you look at local elections, Congress has lost. But forget elections, just in terms of pure development, because we have made this report card on developmental issues. Rahul Gandhi doesn't get the pass marks. He's not getting 6 out of 10.
You have parameters which are very relevant, but I would like to say that there are some parameters which have not been included. That is the infrastructure development, that is the industrialization, that is the power.
Sir, all included. Better employment opportunity, drinking water, roads, security for women, eradication of corruption, better electricity supply, better schools, better hospitals, better public transport, empowerment of women, better law and order, training for jobs, reservation for jobs, better garbage, traffic congestion, environment, facility for pedestrians, trustworthiness of MPs, accessibility of MPs. You know, we have gone into great detail through ADR. Rahul Gandhi doesn't pass the mark in Amethi.
In the underdeveloped state of Uttar Pradesh, I have also seen Amethi. I personally feel Amethi and Rai Bareli and these constituencies are much more better developed than the other constituencies. If you cannot compare them with the southern India or the developed western India, but in Uttar Pradesh, in the heartland of Hindi, where we have developments at a much lower parameters, definitely they have done. But I agree with you that we still need to do more and more and much better.
Okay, so
and your action today will.
You're going to compare Rahul Gandhi's Amethi with other constituencies in UP, but, you know, let me also look at the BJP. The BJP president, Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, has already changed his constituency, Rajnath Singh. He doesn't rate very highly on the survey. Murli Manohar Joshi, again below that 6-point mark, has changed his constituency thrice in the last 3 elections. Isn't it a sign, the very fact that these MPs, high-profile MPs, are having to change their constituencies, means that they haven't done enough for their constituencies? What can be a bigger sign of their failure as MPs than the fact that they are changing their constituencies every 5 years?
Rajdeep, while the initiative of the report card is welcomed,
Yes.
may I just take a minute to point out a few dichotomies which I observed in this.
Please.
The highest marking has been given
Yes.
to none other than Mr. Sachin Pilot.
Yes.
Do you realize that in elections 3 months back, all the Vidhan Sabhas under him
Yes.
have been lost? You have given the lowest marking to Sushma Swaraj ji,
Yes.
some 3.52. And out of 8 Vidhan Sabhas under her, 7 have been won by BJP.
Good.
Let's look at Murli Manohar Joshi ji.
Yes.
5.84. Out of 5, he wins 4.
Yes.
Let us look at Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. 6.3. Out of 5, she wins only 1.
Right.
Let's look at Rahul Gandhi. 5.58. Out of 5, he wins only 0. Now, if this is the perception of people, then the facts I am stating are contrary to what you're finding.
No, Sushma Swaraj,
So,
Sushma Swaraj is a fine parliamentarian. It's a good example. Sushma Swaraj is a fine
you don't realize
parliamentarian.
one more thing.
But
No.
people are expecting her
She
to
is
spend
one of
maybe
the
more
most-
time in Vidisha.
She-
They're expecting
no,
her to resolve
no.
their local problems also.
Rajdeep, this is the funniest part. You will not even believe the amount of time she spends in Vidisha has no parallel. I mean, the moment the parliament is over, she's there. She's working, and that is the reason why 7 MLAs under her have won. Otherwise, just imagine, if this was the level of anti-incumbency that she gets 3.52, do you think 7 BJP MLAs would have won under her? Not possible.
I think you make a
What
fair
I'm saying
point.
is
I think you make a fair point on
there is
Sushma.
some disconnect.
I think you make a fair point on
And
Sushma,
so-
which I want to just a minute take to Jaiprakash Narayan. Because, you know, Jaiprakash Narayan, is there a connection between electability and these surveys? You know, let's be clear. Sushma Swaraj in all probability will win Vidisha by a large margin. There are other MPs also. Rahul Gandhi will probably win Amethi also. Is there a sense that there is a disconnect between electability and the demands of the constituents of their MPs?
Rajdeep, Sudhanshuji made a very compelling point. I think the statistics he gave are very revealing. I think we should really stay away from whether MP is responsible or not. In a larger sense, this survey shows that in general, voters are disgusted with what is happening. In some cases, because of local circumstances, they vote out that party. Some cases, because of certain circumstances, they may vote for the same party. But the problem is, even with modest expectations, I don't think the voters' expectations are really great. I don't think we're even telling them what the government should be doing. Even with modest expectations, our performance is bizarre and really abysmal. The reason why I'm stating this is, take education. At the age of 15, Rajdeep, out of 74 countries surveyed, India included, India ranked 73rd out of 74 countries. The only country worse than India was Kyrgyzstan, that Central Asian Republic formerly of the Soviet Union. China was ranked number 1, not very rich countries. And what did Indian government do? We stayed away from the survey next time around so that nobody can compare us with the rest of the world. We are abysmal. Our Right to Education Act, for instance, is a fraud. And people are not even judging the MPs and MLAs by the quality of education because we're not even discussing that issue. Even by simple, visible parameters that people can judge, we are really failing. So MPs are not guilty. Jay Panda is absolutely right. But the governance process has collapsed, and the MPs and MLAs are guilty to the extent that we are not setting things right. It's not what you do in the constituency. It's what you do in building the structures, empowering local governments, creating citizens' charters, making bureaucracy accountable, looking at genuine policy which actually can be worked at the ground level, and building a system of accountability on the whole.
No, so who is going to do that? If governance structures are collapsing, as you're saying, Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan,
that's exactly the duty of MPs and MLAs. You see, today, as individual MP and MLA, we all have alibis, but as collective entities of parliament and legislatures, we have spectacularly failed. We have sustained status quo. We have perpetuated status quo. We pretended that we empowered local governments, we did not. We pretended to give education, education rots. There's no healthcare worth mentioning in the country. That people are actually this tolerant is a shocking thing. It's an amazing thing. Because we have not allowed them to have aspirations. There's a deeper lesson rather than whether Sushma Swaraj will win and Rahul Gandhi will win or not. There is a much deeper lesson. We are hopelessly underperforming. We can do much, much better. We are not even giving the right kind of aspirations and fighting for them. And damn it, we must change this and quickly. That's the real lesson.
I think you're putting the words, that I think everyone will echo the words that you're putting in, Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan. But Jai Panda, where does that leave the idea of an ideal MP? What is an ideal MP? As we are going into these big elections, what is an ideal MP? Is an ideal MP only about getting electable, about winning a constituency? Because we are seeing so many MPs with dubious records, again getting tickets, simply because they are seen as winnable. Is winnability the only criteria once you fight an election? Or should there be a track record of someone who is ready to get the governance system fixed?
Rajdeep, as you have pointed out and as other panelists have pointed out, even MPs who don't perform well on any objective measure can get re-elected.
Yes.
And MPs who do perform well on objective measures may not have the support of their constituencies. So we need to separate those two issues. See, despite my admiration for what ADR is doing, I must say something candidly. Any rating system that rates Sushma Swaraj at the bottom among the parliamentarians is flawed, because I think she is widely recognized as one of the best performing members of parliament.
I want to clarify that she's not
in a very long time.
She's not at the bottom, but you're right. She's rating poorly in this survey.
Right. So any survey that indicates that about somebody like Sushma ji, obviously I think it needs to be changed. So perhaps the weightages need to be changed. Let me again reiterate, MPs can't shy away from governance issues in their constituencies, but maybe the weightages need to change, and much more weightage needs to be given to parliamentary performance. And as far as constituency is concerned, things like how much time they are available to the constituents and the review meetings that they conduct, rather than actual governance measures that have been shown here. So I think the answer to your main question is this. I think MPs that are doing well on objective measures and also have the support of their constituents would be described as the ideal MP.
That's a good point. Dr. Shastri, why in all your criteria that I have here, you have not put performance in parliament? Surely an MP who takes up issues, who debates those issues in parliament, attends parliament regularly. Should these not be criteria? Many of your MPs who you have given high marks to on these other criteria barely attend parliament, don't speak in parliament. Are we saying that our voters are not interested how an MP comes across in parliament, whether he speaks up on issues? Does that not matter at all? Is the MP, I come back to it, supposed to perform like a municipal councillor fixing the drains?
See, we need to ask the voters. We had a catch-all category called others. If their criteria, none of them mentioned that how well my parliamentarian speaks in parliament. So people are not interested in that.
So how he speaks in a television studio, how he speaks in parliament doesn't matter.
See, we have to go in elections by voters' perception. For the election, the voters' perception is the reality.
But they are voting for it. In Sudhanshu Mittal's point, they are voting for these same people.
Exactly. So they are voting for these people. So there is a dichotomy here. There is a general dissatisfaction with various parameters of governance. They attribute it to the MP, rightly or wrongly. They may vote for that same person because the alternatives may be worse. And as quite a few panelists have pointed out, it doesn't matter whether the governance issues are good or bad. They may still vote for a particular person for some other considerations. We are not in the game. See, our basic purpose of this survey is, these are the priorities of the people of India. Whichever government comes, and we wish them well, they should take cognizance of these priorities and deliver on those, rather than...
But if, the problem is that MPs probably believe that they can get electable. To use Sudhanshu Mittal's analogy, if I'm getting electable, Sudhanshu, you have made it about electability.
Yes, he has made
Effectively, you are rubbishing this survey by saying, look, if these people are getting elected, if their MLAs are getting elected, then they are not doing such a bad job after all. Maybe people have to choose, unfortunately, at times between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The choices are limited, and there could be a wave election. like many believe that 2014 is, and therefore even MPs with substandard performance will sail through. So is electability going to be your criteria, Sudhanshu, to dismiss this survey, rather than seeing maybe MPs need to fix the governance system?
No, Rajiv, that's not true. If the extent of anti-incumbency is such that a person is getting 3% or 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, believe me, there is a certain correlation between electability and performance.
Yes.
I mean, dismissing them as two different things is fallacious.
Yes.
And why I'll tell you this. Look at the elections 2007 onwards in this country.
Yes.
Every state government where the perception of performance is there, they are elected back. The moment the performance of a state government is under a question mark, they are voted out. So people are demanding performance. Now the criteria for vote is not caste, not religion. The criteria is governance.
So you may elect a good chief minister. Sudhanshu, you may elect a good chief minister or a prime ministerial candidate, but my local MP or MLA who is not performing is sometimes getting away with it.
No, you see, the exception would be that he may get away. The rule would be that if there is anti-incumbency against a specific individual, he will lose. Because today people are demanding governance. You know, dismissing governance and politics as two different things is not right. You know, today the people of India do not take politics and governance as two different things. There was a time when they used to say good governance and good politics don't go hand in hand. Today the mantra is good governance and good politics is the order of the day. It is this hope factor with a person that people are voting for. So don't discount. Electability and performance are interrelated.
Yes, I know.
No, that's not true.
I take that, even though, as I'm saying, and you didn't answer that, why Rajnath Singh and others are then shifting their constituencies. Your BJP president is also...
That has nothing to do with this.
What does it have to do with it? Obviously, he doesn't trust that the voters of Ghaziabad believe that he's the right man.
Murli Manohar Joshi ji. Let's look at Murli Manohar Joshi ji. Today the party decides that from Varanasi, let us have Mr. Narendra Modi. So Joshi ji volunteers to shift to...
But Rajnath Singh could have fought from Ghaziabad.
No, allow me. Lucknow has a certain connotation. It has been a constituency which has been represented by Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Today there is a certain message we want to give out of putting these stalwarts in important constituencies.
So it has nothing to do with their performance as
MPs.
It has nothing to do with their performance as MP. Let me come to another point, which is financial accountability. MP lads. What we are finding increasingly in surveys is that the MP lad scheme, the money which is given Abid Rasool Khan, MPs don't use it. Even Rahul Gandhi, much of it was used towards the end of his 5-year term. That you don't use it in your first 3-4 years, and then suddenly you realize a lot of unspent money, you use it in your last year. Would you concede that all these schemes, there needs to be, we are doing a 5-year report card. There needs to be a quarterly report card of our MP. Just like in school, my daughter gets a report card every 4 months. MPs also should have a report card every 4 months.
Yeah, Rajdeep, I really feel that there should be at least every 6 months there should be a survey on this. And as I said, MP-led fund is an important part of an MP's responsibility, and they should definitely spend it for the requirements of the constitution. Now, the third part is, now today India is so aware about the requirements of their MPs and MLAs, it is definitely a pressing need on the part of the MPs to perform. And when we are discussing the winnability and all that, we also need to consider that most of the MPs, say 95% of the MPs, win on the party ideology and party tickets. So the party also needs to come out with an ideology which is in the interest of the country, which is in the interest of the inclusive growth of the people and security to all sections.
People are judging their MPs more harshly. Jai Panda, our senior journalist, has said me this, and I wonder whether you agree. He says MPs are increasingly judged on their ability to